Trump for 100 years. Hello, and thank you for joining me on the High IQ Genius podcast. I'm your host, Robert Cahan. Before we dive right in, I want to share with you my credentials. I am a life member of Mensa, which simply stated means I've tested in the top 2% of the populace in terms of my intellect. Now, I'm also a member of the High IQ Society Intertel. They're different. In order to qualify for membership in the High IQ Society Intertel, you must test in the top 1%. Simply stated, that means I have tested in the top 1% of the most intelligent people on Earth. Now, let's dive right in. Donald Trump, or the Trumps, in office for the next 100 years. If you heard that statement, what would your reply be? Before you answer, let's dive into the topic for today. And before we begin, let me start off by saying I am not taking sides of any political party. In addition, this is not legal advice, and if you do seek advice, please seek it from the appropriate licensed professional. Now, I have read the Constitution of the United States in its entirety. And what would you say if I told you that it's not only possible, but may be probable that President Trump can and will serve more than the 2-term limit? Before you answer, let me read the excerpt from the Constitution of the United States of America that specifically states, "No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice." Let me repeat that for you and listen carefully. Tell me if anything jumps out at you. No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. At first glance, it seems self-explanatory. 2 terms and you're done. But not so fast. There's a word in that sentence that is highly debatable. And in fact, many legal scholars have looked at this, and it's currently in review. And that word is elected, which absolutely is valid and enforceable. No president can be elected more than twice and stand office. However, the key word here is the word elected. Now, I want you to think for a moment. If President Trump ran for the office of vice president on his next term, and he appointed his running mate as J.D. Vance, the current vice president. And when J.D. Vance was sworn in and elected president, he could have an agreement with the current president that he would serve 1 day and then step down from his position, and the current vice president would be appointed to the presidency of the United States of America. Now, I want you to listen carefully to this today. This is an interesting topic and ripe for controversy, but it will impact every single U.S. citizen, and in fact, it may affect every single person on Earth. Because let's be clear, the policies of the United States of America affect many other countries in the world because they are some of our allies and some of our enemies. So again, let's go over that a little bit more in detail. And keep in mind, the Trump family is quite significant. And please do not underestimate the power and the political backing of the Republican Party and Donald Trump. Regardless of what side of the divide you are on, he has shown more than once that he is not to be underestimated. Now, let's get back on topic. Donald Trump, after this term, could simply state, I'm going to run for the vice president's position, and the president's position will be J.D. Vance. And simply have an agreement with J.D. Vance that after he's appointed president of the United States, he will immediately step down, in which case that acting vice president, Donald Trump, would be appointed to the presidency of the United States of America, which would override the exemption of being elected, because he was not elected, he was appointed. Now, let me be clear on the vice president's position. There are no exclusions in the United States Constitution as to how many terms the vice president can serve. Think about that for a moment. That means that anyone can serve an unlimited amount of terms as vice president. Consequently, Donald Trump could serve repeated vice presidency terms under those same conditions and simply appoint one of his family members to run for the president's position. Upon being elected, that family member would simply step down from the position of president, and the vice president or the acting vice president, which would be Donald Trump, would be appointed to the presidency of the United States of America again. That's a topic that's going to be ripe for controversy and ripe for discussion. And as I said, there are many legal scholars, and this is likely to go all the way up to the Supreme Court. So I want you to think about something today. I want you to think about the future and the possibility that the Trump dynasty could in fact go on for 100 years or more, or even indefinitely, if he gets elected or his appointee gets elected to the office of the president again. I'm expecting a lot of comments on this. I'm expecting people to go crazy about this topic. But let me be clear. The Constitution specifically uses the word elected. It does not say appointed. And so therein lies the opening or the opportunity for an acting president to, in fact, serve more than 2 terms in office. Please leave your comments below. My name is Robert Kayan. I'm excited about the opportunity to interact with you. I do read all the comments below. This is something that could impact and very likely will impact you and every U.S. citizen in the United States and in fact in the world. So in closing, I want to thank you for this opportunity. Please take a moment and subscribe. It does help our channel. Give this some thought. Give this some thought and give me your feedback in your comments below. And I look forward to answering and addressing those comments on our next episode of the High IQ Genius podcast. And remember this, At the end of the day, it's you against the world, and I'm betting on you. Thank you.